Hey Joe, thanks for hopping on today for a quick interview. Really appreciate you taking the time. Love for you to introduce yourself to the viewers, who you are, what's your brand, and kind of what products you sell.
I'm Joe Osborne. I run Big Guns USA. It's a natural deodorant brand geared towards veterans, specifically men.
How long have you been doing that for?
So I launched the store last November. So we're coming up on almost a year. And before that, I spent, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 months formulating the deodorant itself.
So you took a good amount of time investing in the product, which is great. Let's dive right in. Really, the point of this interview is just to really kind of share your story and really hopefully if there's anyone in your situation, we can hopefully give them some guidance on how they can grow with meta ads and how this kind of program meta ads at scale impacted you. So paint the picture. Where were you in December before you joined meta ads at scale?
So when I launched the store in November, I did $300 in sales. And that's just making several campaigns for the same ads with no real strategy. Just kind of throwing posts on the wall and see what sticks. December, I did 1,000 using the same methods. And then we started talking in December, and I was very like burn all the ships mentality, which I think is really what you have to do, especially when starting out. You have to focus. I got on board the program early January. And in January, I did, from 1K in December to 6K in January. And then the next month I did 12.5 grand. So revenue was definitely like shooting upwards. Behind the scenes, I hit some issues, especially, and people understand this when they're manufacturing everything themselves. I hit issues with the formulation. Summertime was coming and everything was getting warmer, which means that the longevity of the deodorant wasn't as good the way I formulated during the winter. So I had to I've done 3 formulations for the deodorant since then. But then the logistics issues, deodorant sticks are hard to get sometimes depending on where you're getting from. The good thing is that revenue is coming in, and this is something that I don't think a lot of people starting out really hammer hard. Product is really king. You have to have return customers. When you're strategizing what product you want to sell, I think that really needs to come first. So anyone that's wondering, hey, what should I be selling? Product is king. You want to have returning customers, people that actually stand by your deodorant. That comes out in so many ways. When I'm running Facebook ads now, Instagram ads, I'll have people like naysayers in the comment section. Oh, this isn't made in America, or the formula, it doesn't look that good. And then I'll have my customers replying to them like, dude, you have no idea what you're talking about. This is the best deodorant ever. It doesn't happen by accident. It takes a lot of work to get to that point. But yeah, product's king.
What would you say your strategy, or how has your strategy changed, now that you've been in the program now around 6, 7, 8 months now? What does that strategy look like now versus kind of before?
Yes, as far as the ad strategy goes, you lay it out really, really nicely. You have to break up different campaigns to target different audiences, to target different people in their customer journey. That's super important. And before, I wasn't doing that at all. Wasn't even thinking about it. Just, spraying and praying. That's it. So that has been extremely helpful. And you can see it on the revenue side. Absolutely. Things pop up too all the time. Great example is, last week I was talking to Steve, and he just laid out really, really clearly something I hadn't picked up before about retargeting, for instance. So good example is you need to have your prospecting campaigns finding cold traffic, and all those really have to do is break even on ROAS. And then you take the pool of engagers coming from that, and then that's what you're retargeting. One hand feeds the other. It makes perfect sense. So one thing I will say is that you're at the top of your game, and you're helping all of us out, but also the team behind you is incredibly competent and geniuses in their own right. So
yeah, so who you mentioned was Steve. So Steve is kind of the program meta ads coach. He's been with me over a year and a half, and he's like my mini me. Taught him everything I know about ads, and so he's in there helping everyone in the program. And then we also have Matt, who's the client success manager, who kind of helps people stay on track, make sure they're kind of knocking out all the items in their growth plan. So yeah, we have an awesome team, myself, Steve, and Matt, and so I'm glad you see the value in kind of having them and what they provide. Can you describe, just for everybody, I know you mentioned you have a full-time job, have a family, kids, take your kids to school as well, so you have a lot of different jobs. How would you say, what would you say is the time commitment required maybe in the beginning of the program, and then kind of how much time you would say it takes now?
Starting out in the beginning, you definitely have to put in work. I mean, it's not all encompassing, but I think that the more work you put into it, the better, obviously the better your business is going to do. And that's really the whole point. It's not that you should be afraid of doing the work. It's that you have to. It's definitely a necessity. So as far as how much time I put into it at first, it's hard to describe in terms of hours. And it's really nice because you give a checklist of things you have to knock out on a monthly basis. And if you stick to that, then you're fine. After you get everything set up and as you graduate to different campaigns that you set up throughout the 6 months, it really comes down to putting your campaigns on turbo mode, and it comes down to managing your really email to SMS. You have to be putting out new campaigns. You have to be talking to your customer base. It doesn't feel like you're putting in tons of hours.
Most of the time ends up being kind of like you said, email, SMS, and then also just making sure you have enough creatives in your account.
Exactly. Yep. You have to turn on the creative juices. You have to put out ads, multiple ads a week. For some people, it's not a big deal. For me, like you said, all these other parts of my life are always looking for attention. So it's a bit more difficult, but it is what it is.
Appreciate the honesty there. Obviously, it's not always easy, but you have been able to manage it and grow your brand, which is awesome.
What's really nice though is that it's not like you always have like Steve or Matt talking to you, and it's like, hey, why isn't this set up this way? Why isn't that set up that way? You guys will even go in and like make the changes for me, which is like super great. It could be little stuff, it could be bigger stuff. Your guys are always there to ensure success.
So that's definitely one thing too, is we do offer, month one, we build out your campaigns and whatnot for you. But like you mentioned, like we're here for your guys' success. So even if you can't build something, we'll build it for you. It doesn't really matter how long you've been in the program. Again, we want to make sure, you guys are successful no matter what. Based on your results, where you're at now, you're doing like, I think you said last month we did 16K. This month you're on track for like 14K. Like, how do you think Q4 is going to go? I think it's going to go crazy, but we'd love to hear what you think. And then, where do you see the brand, in the next year?
So the goal for next month in October is to do 1K days every day. 1K days, hitting that 25 to 30K mark is the goal, especially more for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I expect that to go, again, turbo mode. Now, my issue is, hey, I'm at a point where I'm manufacturing everything myself. This is not drop shipping. This isn't easy mode here. So I have to figure out outsourcing manufacturing or bringing in more employees at that time. Those are all great problems to have.
Just on other similar brands that I've either, clients or just brands in the program, what's interesting with consumer packaged goods, whether it be soap, even, deodorant, they actually end up becoming really giftable items, right? So I have a feeling that you're going to have a big November, big December, hopefully 50K, 100K months if you have the stock. I think it's definitely doable. So obviously we'll be there to help you. I'm really bullish. I think you're going to have a great Q4. Good problems will probably come up from that. So did you have any misconceptions or anything that surprised you from what you thought before you got into the program till after? Anything that kind of stood out to you?
On Twitter, you have all these guys talking about how much money they're making. They're posting screenshots and they're hitting, $100,000, $500,000 months. And it is not easy. It's just not easy. It takes work. It takes creative strategy. As far as the meta ads, program, I don't think there were any real moments where I was like, oh, this isn't what I thought I was getting to. It's not that at all. It's more like you have to do it. That's it. You just have to get into it.
One thing that I noticed about you show up to like every coaching call, which I think you're one of the best in the program at doing that, which I respect a ton. You keep showing up. So what would you say, like, what are your favorite parts about like the coaching calls?
Yeah, coaching calls. I appreciate that they're structured. Sometimes we'll repeat similar messaging on some of your coaching calls, and I don't think that's a detriment at all. I think that's super helpful because we're all facing similar issues and there are strategies that we need to be implementing at different times of the year. Yeah, that's very helpful, I think. It's very helpful. I think it's great that you're getting everyone together multiple times a week to discuss just business stuff that's going to help us.
One thing with ecom too is that a lot of times it's kind of like sports where you're drilling the fundamentals over and over again, where it gets to a point where in some ways you just got to keep talking about the fundamentals. So I'm glad you recognize even, the value of that, even though if we do sometimes talk about some of the same stuff in different ways. Would you say you were surprised about the results kind of you got in the program before you came in to kind of where you are now and how confident you are kind of going forward? Were you surprised by that, or what were your thoughts there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because before I joined the program, I was running campaigns at like $10, $20 a day. And it's very difficult when you're using your own money to scale campaigns, and it's really like throwing a Hail Mary or almost jumping blind. But dealing with you and your team, it's very much, there's a special confidence that comes from that I think is unique. When I'm scaling a campaign to $100, $200 a day, there's no like fear or timidity. Like I know the results, and I know that the structure of the campaigns are sound and that it's going to get results. So I think that in itself is incredibly helpful.
Yeah, I think that's a testament to one, you doing the work. You got the right pop-up, right? You've optimized your website. got all the flows, email, SMS flows, setting your campaigns, making new creatives, right? So it's like you've built the machine, right? And so that's kind of the confidence, I think, that once you kind of have that machine built where you can say, hey, we know if we're going to spend $1, we're going to get 3 back, right? So I love that, you kind of have that confidence now, because that's really kind of the major unlock is once you have that confidence, then you just need enough inventory to be able to sustain it, right? So love to kind of hear that you have that confidence, because I think that's a major roadblock for most people is they're scared to spend the money, right? So it's nice that, we were able to kind of help build that foundation. So now you are confident in that, because that's really what it comes down to. If someone was on the fence about joining Meta Ads at Scale, what would you tell them?
I would ask them, do you believe in your brand? Do you believe in your product? It kind of comes down to that. If you do, if you think that you've got a solid business that can take off, then you should have absolutely no qualms about joining Meta Ads at Scale. You have so many success stories coming out of this program. If you're not afraid to put in the work, then you will see success in this program. Zero doubt about that.
If you have a good product, then you just do the work. We'll lay it out for you. We would do all of it on our own if we could, but a lot of it has to be done on your own end. But yeah, I think, like you said, the results, the case studies we have kind of tells the story itself. Last thing, any final thoughts you'd like to tell anyone watch it besides go buy some Big Guns deodorant?
Your team is incredible. The program is incredible. I have absolutely no regrets about joining, and I'm excited to stick with you guys and do more work in the future, run more sales, and talk about ads. And yeah, it's great.
Well, appreciate you hopping on, Joe. Again, this means a lot to myself and everyone watching. I mean, I'm sure it's going to help people make the right decision and just know that there is a place for them to really learn ads and take their brand to the next level. So appreciate you hopping on, and we'll talk soon.